We should probably bring back boot camps for some kids. And before people immediately start imagining some 1950s military movie where children are being screamed at by a guy with a shaved head, that's not really what I mean. I'm not talking about abusing children or humiliating them or beating them into submission or anything like that. But I do think there are some young people now whose behavior has become so antisocial and so destructive that normal schools just cannot deal with them anymore. And I worked in a secondary school when I trained to become a teacher 7 years ago. And I chose not to have that as a career. Not because I didn't enjoy teaching, but because some of these kids made teaching so stressful and they did not belong in a normal school. And everybody knows the kind of kids that I'm talking about. The ones terrorizing teachers and threatening other kids, carrying knives, refusing to go to school, or intimidating entire communities. These are the kinds of kids that I'm talking about. Like there are genuinely communities now where people are scared of groups of teenagers. And I think society's become weirdly scared of admitting that some people actually need strong intervention before they become dangerous adults, if they're not already dangerous. Because right now, it feels like we've gone too far in the opposite direction. Like every bad behavior has to immediately be explained away. And obviously, some of these kids have had terrible upbringings, like abuse and neglect and unstable homes and violence, whatever. I completely understand that. Most normal people understand that. But at the same time, the rest of society still has to live around the consequences of that behavior. And I honestly think some kids need to be removed from their environment completely for a period of time. Not permanently, not thrown away and the key discarded or whatever, but taken out of the chaos they're living in and put somewhere structured to give them what they haven't had, to give them a chance. Like imagine a place that's strict, disciplined, physically active, but also supportive at the same time. Like early mornings, fitness and routine, keeping your room tidy properly, education on top, therapy. And I mean like actual therapy where family is invited too and they have to attend so that they can try and fix the problems at home too. Actual consequences for bad behavior and actual structure. Because I think a lot of these kids have absolutely no structure whatsoever. No boundaries, no stability, no discipline. Nobody's teaching them how to regulate themselves properly. And I know people online hate the word discipline now because they instantly associate it with abuse. But discipline and abuse are not the same thing. Human beings generally do better with structure. It's who we are. Especially boys, honestly. Like if your life is complete chaos and you've been let down by the adults around you time and time again and nobody expects anything from you, you usually become worse, not better. And I think one of the reasons people are becoming more supportive of ideas like this again is because communities are exhausted. People are tired of feeling like antisocial behavior has no consequences anymore. Tired of picking up the pieces of parents that don't really care. You see videos now of teachers having breakdowns in classrooms because they can't control the students, or train workers getting attacked, or random people getting harassed in public by groups of teenagers filming it for a TikTok. And then whenever somebody says something needs to change, people immediately jump to well, these kids are victims. And yes, many of them are victims, and that's the point. Many of these young people need help, but other people can also be victims of them. That's the part people don't really talk about, or don't like to talk about. And I think the biggest mistake is when people think that only two options are either punish them brutally or do absolutely nothing, because neither works. Pure punishment usually just creates more anger and more resentment in these young people. But zero consequences doesn't work either. It just teaches people that they can behave however they want. So I think the answer is probably something in the middle, like strong boundaries, strict routine and discipline, but alongside actual rehabilitation as well. Therapy, education, learning new skills, trying to rebuild people before they become completely lost. Because if somebody's 13 or 14 and already deeply antisocial, violent and disconnected from society, what exactly do people think happens if nobody intervenes properly? And that is the time to intervene. They don't magically wake up at 25 as a completely different person. And honestly, I think a lot of people secretly agree with this now. But they're scared to say something because everything online immediately becomes political. Either you're some heartless authoritarian or you're completely soft and naive. There's no room for the nuance anymore. But I don't think this is even really about politics. I think it's about trying to build functional human beings before it's too late. Because some children genuinely need help. But some communities also genuinely need protecting. And I don't think these two things have to contradict each other.